Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Hashem Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word in truth and in sincerity. The hopeful elect tabernacle of David, the Aquath that are listening and learning, being a pillar of rest, the 144,000, the 1/3, the hopeful elect of Israel. This lesson is going to be on weapon systems, the making of weapon systems, and the proliferation of weapon systems, right? Two-ball cane, if you will. Cane is a weapon, all right? A killing instrument. Anyway, let's start right here, Isaiah 54:16. Behold, I, the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Let's look at this in the NIV. See, it is I who created the blacksmith, who fans the coals into the flame and forges a weapon fit for its work. And it is I who have created the waster to wreak havoc. So everything is the Most High's project. He might delegate and he might send Satan. I want you to go and do this and jack this guy up, right? Everybody works for the Most High. Everybody is doing the work of the Most High, sent from the Most High, including Yahweh Shai. All right? There is only one good, right? So, let's read NLT. I've created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction. Makes the weapons of destruction. So all of those blueprints and them plans came from who? The Most High. And he sends them down. He might hand it off to Satan, right? Azazel or one of them demons. They come down, commune with Esau, right? Give Esau the paperwork, the plan, the blueprint. Esau goes and carries it out. And he thinks that in his mind that he created something when it was the Most High. Okay? Of course, see, Esau believes he is the Most High, so of course he's going to think that. And I have created the armies that destroy. The armies what? See, this armies right here can be likened unto this army right here. See, I've created the armies that destroy. What armies are we talking about? Let's go to Joel 2. These armies right here. The army of locusts. All right? And to jump to the point, let's talk about those missiles. Armies of weapons. Okay? Let's see. Start it to Joel 2:2. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness, like the dawn overspreading the mountains. A great and strong army appears, such as never was of old. They didn't have these weapons back then. They didn't have ICBMs and cruise missiles and their swords and the plowshares, meaning there ain't going to be no more war. Before them a fire devours, and behind them a flame scorches. The land before them is like the Garden of Eden, but behind them it is like a desert wasteland. Surely nothing will escape them. This is talking about weapons, not actual soldiers. It's likening them unto soldiers, or like an army, like a mighty army, not a mighty army, like a mighty army, developed for battle. Okay? Like men of war. See? They charge like mighty men. They scale the walls like men of war, not as men of war. So anyway, if you could get that spiritually. Let's talk about the weapons, all right? Now, when you understand that Esau makes weapons with blueprints from the Most High, and that he is a weapon, he's the Most High's weapon. Psalm 17:13, okay? Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Now you can read anything, any of these other versions, and it's not going to say what this says. Okay, let's put it to the test. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, that's Esau, which is thy sword. What is thy sword? Esau, the wicked. The wicked is thy sword. If you read this, confront them, bring them to their knees. Deliver me from the wicked by your sword. No, your sword is the wicked. So this isn't saying your sword is. It says your sword and the wicked are two different things. That's what this says. Same thing here. Deliver my soul from the wicked by your sword. Rescue me from the wicked with your sword. That's not saying the same thing as this. Okay? This is saying that the sword is the wicked. Esau is the sword of the Most High. He is a killing instrument. Okay? And he'll lie about being a killing instrument. This motherfucker loves to murder, right? That's his lust, right? Let's get it. The lust of your father ye will do, right? Then you come up. Must be saying it wrong. Let's see. A murderer from the beginning. St. John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He, right, the spirit that's on Esau, which is the spirit of Cain, was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of. This dude is lusting to murder. What's going on in Israel right now, in Palestine, in Gaza? Lust of murder. Lying about it. Oh, they were hiding in a hospital, so we shut up all the babies. They had a underground operational base in the hospital. So the first thing we did was shoot up all the babies in the hospital. He's a murderer and lying about it, right? He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. He's a murderer, lying, saying he ain't. Oh no, it's not murder. Perfectly fine what we did. Completely ignoring the international rules of war. All right. Oh no. It says right here in clause 5A that we can murder children if there's a gun in the room. If there's an AK-47 in the room, we can kill everybody and say that you're with Hamas. Not that every man has a gun to protect his family, right? I work at the hospital. I heard that some soldiers from a different nation might just come in blasting everybody, so I'm going to try to protect myself. So my AK is right next to the scalpel. Oh no, you were with Hamas. There was an AK in the room. That's how they get out. Anyway, here's how they get out right here. Let's go to Amy Goodman. Where's she at? Okay. Right here. This is Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. 3 days ago, Anthony Lowenstein. Israel is testing new weapons on Gaza as arms dealers profit from Gaza war. That's a whole lot. That's a mouthful. Israel is doing what? Testing new weapons on Gaza as arms dealers. Okay, let's see. New weapons. Well, testing new weapons. There's a phrase. Arms dealers. There's a phrase. Gaza war. There's a phrase. That's saying a whole lot. Esau is a weapon. He's a murderer from the beginning, and he's going to lie about it. What are they doing in Gaza? They're developing, they're testing the weapons. America is sending weapons, right, to the Israelis so that they can use them on the Palestinians. Not just America. They might go down the list of who's sending weapons, right, to the Israelis to use on the. They're testing these weapons, new weapons. What does this say? Israel is testing new weapons on Gaza, right? Where are they coming from? Where are the new weapons coming from? Let me give you a hint. Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine, his hand is out waiting for more money and weapons. Where are they coming from? All right, so take it away, Amy.
He said. Meanwhile, in Australia, hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters block the Israeli Zim shipping line from docking at Sydney's port, Botany, saying it is a major shipper of arms to Israeli forces currently.
Okay, so we got Babylon the Great and Australia shipping weapons to Israel to use on the Palestinians. So there's two, Australia and Babylon the Great.
Waging war on Gaza. Over the weekend, hundreds of thousands of pro-Palestine protesters took to the streets of Sydney, of Melbourne, of Brisbane to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Australia has reportedly approved over 50 military export permits to Israel this year alone, and 3 Palestinian human rights organizations in Australia and the UK have filed legal challenges to suspend them. For more, we're joined in Sydney, Australia by Anthony Lowenstein, an independent journalist who's investigated how Israeli weaponry and surveillance technology is used on Palestinian.
Wait a minute. It said weaponry and what? Surveillance. So what does that bring in? Well, let her say it again. What does surveillance imply? I'll give you a hint. In the 1980s, they started implanting something the size of a grain of rice into animals, dogs, cats, right? So as they're killing people, murdering people over here in a petri dish, if you understand, in a laboratory, that's what they're going to call it, right? It's an experiment. As they're murdering people and confining them in a concentration camp in a less than a 15-minute city, okay? Just like they cloned Tyrone. The biggest character in They Cloned Tyrone was the laboratory. Okay, what are they doing in the laboratory? They're running experiments, right? They're creating the nigga that they want out there. Well, if we can't exterminate these niggas completely, at least we can mind control them into doing what we want them to do. Kill each other, sell drugs to each other, keep them sinning against Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Okay? So what we're watching unfold with the genocide in Gaza, it's also a lab experiment. And this guy is going to break it down like that. Okay, so she's going to say weapons manufacturing or weapons testing and surveillance, which goes into Revelation 13, 16, or Revelation 13, 15, and 16, which is the image, which is the system, the infrastructure, if you will.
For more, we're joined in Sydney, Australia by Anthony Lowenstein, an independent journalist who's investigated how Israeli weaponry and surveillance technology is used on Palestinians and exported around the world. His most recent book, published in May, The Palestine Laboratory, How Israel...
Stop. The what? The what? The laboratory. The Palestine laboratory. They're calling it what it is. Right? Remember Tuskegee? An experiment. Where do you conduct experiments? In a greater laboratory. The hood, right, is a laboratory. And they cloned Tyrone. The whole hood was the laboratory. Was the experimental, the place of experimentation. That's what they're calling it. How Israel exports the technology of occupation around the world. Okay? So, long story short, what they're doing is they're trying to get their NWO. This is how they're going to treat people in the NWO. We're going to stack you on top of each other. We can come in and kill you whenever we want to. We can pull your car. We can switch off your chip. We got total surveillance of you. Okay? And then I looked up. I was like, when I saw this, I'm like, what is it? Tracking chips in Palestine. I looked that up. Right?
Exports the technology of occupation around the world. He was based in East Jerusalem between 2016 and 2020. We welcome you back to Democracy Now!, Anthony Lowenstein. If you can start off by talking about this issue of weapons and also speak from your background as a Jewish reporter.
Thanks so much for having me, Amy and Juan. Look, what's been happening since October 7 with the arms to Israel really in some ways fits into a long pattern. You've had since that day the US, UK, Germany, Australia, Netherlands, many other countries.
Oh, there's the laundry list. Let's go back. Who are sending weapons in this experiment, in this laboratory? Who's sending weapons to the experimental weapons laboratory?
The arms to Israel really in some ways fits into a long pattern. You've had since that day the US, UK, Germany, Australia, Netherlands, many other countries ship huge amounts of weapons to Israel, including, I might add, F-35.
We see this. How Palestine became Israel's spyware test bed. Where do you think that's going? You think these experiments on the Palestinians are for the Palestinians? The Palestinians are not the Most High's chosen that need to be hidden. That they don't want the world to find out who they are. And that Esau himself is coming after. It's not, Esau is not, show me in the scriptures where it says Esau said, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then shall I slay my cousin Ishmael. It doesn't say that. It said, I will slay my brother Jacob. Those so-called Palestinians over there, that's Ishmael. They're not interested in exterminating Ishmael. They're interested in exterminating. It's a rehearsal of the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob, because they know that they're Esau. Okay? So this is a dress rehearsal, much like World War II was.
Other countries ship huge amounts of weapons to Israel, including, I might add, F-35, which is a fighter jet that Israel's been using. And there's a global supply chain, and many countries, including Australia, the US, and Netherlands, are sending parts to Israel, which almost certainly are being used over Gaza as we speak. In fact, the German arms exports to Israel have expanded 10 times in the last month since 2022. A massive increase. And I think what you see really is a growing global awareness of the connection between Israeli militarism and the arms industry. Now, it might be obvious to many on the left that that's been the case for many, many years, long before October 7. But I think you see in some ways a growing public awareness and anger. The longer this conflict is going on, the death toll is so staggering. The amount of civilians being killed is so overwhelming.
Not killed, murdered. There's a difference.
The footage that we're all seeing and understanding the connection between how that's happening and who's actually funding and supporting that. Yes, obviously Israel's the one that's actually doing the killing in Gaza, but there's a deep
The murdering in Gaza.
global connection to many Western partners that are funding, backing and arming it. And I think ultimately, finally, I'd say that there is a growing Jewish awareness of this. Now, obviously, I speak as someone who's Jewish. I'm Australian, but also a German citizen. And I think it's clear that for a long time there's been Jewish criticism of Israel, that's for sure. But in the last years, particularly since the Gaza war in 2014, and especially this year, the devastation we've seen since the horrific Hamas attack on October 7, growing Jewish voices, not just in relation to protesting Israeli actions, but the arms that many Western countries are sending to Israel to fight its brutal war.
Anthony, could you talk about how Israel and especially Gaza have become a laboratory for surveillance states? You write, for instance, that the system is most extreme in the city of Hebron, where facial recognition and numerous cameras are used to monitor Palestinians, including at times in their homes.
Stop right there. Okay? So you know where this is going. All right? This is designed for Babylon the Great. And they're testing it. They're getting all the bugs out of it right now. Okay? It's going to consist of, see, what they're doing is they're trying to be the Most High and have their eye be able to see everything. That's what the whole surveillance thing. Oh, well, we're the Most High, we're God, and we can see everything. Nigga, no, you can't. All right? And you're not the Most High. All right? The Egyptians are human and not God. Right? I'll paraphrase.
Instead of the extreme Jewish settlers who are routinely attacking them. You talk about that, and also what's been happening in Gaza even before the war.
You know, one of the things I talk about a lot in my book one in the Palestine Laboratory is how in the West Bank and Gaza and East Jerusalem for years, Israel regularly tests and trials new weapons. That could be drones, spyware, as you say, facial recognition technology. In Gaza for years was framed as the ultimate laboratory. There were 2.3 million Palestinians. There was a fence that essentially was constructed around the entire perimeter. It was almost impossible to break out. Of course, we saw that didn't, and not a reality on October 7, which I'll get to in a minute. But ultimately, there were huge amounts of technologies. But one I think you find after October 7, and I've heard this both from sources that I've been speaking to, but also some decent reporting in the last month is...
Look at Jake. That could be a Hamite. That could be an Edomite. You got to know, in the spirit, you got to be able to decipher or have spiritual discernment. Right?
This in some ways was a tech lack of imagination, a tech failure, a tech lack of imagination, a tech arrogance. And what I mean by that is that Israel had believed arrogantly for years that it was possible to cage 2.3 million people indefinitely, and they would never break out and resist that. And even to the point where in the year before the attack, I've been hearing reports that Israel and the NSA, the US's key spy agency, stopped listening into Hamas walkie-talkies, for example.
Wait a minute, how are you the Most High if you stop listening and watching?
Just didn't listen to it in the belief they didn't need to. That certain Jewish communities near the Gaza border were giving information they were hearing back to Israeli military intelligence, which the government ignored. Now, on the one hand, it was an intelligence catastrophe, not unlike 9/11 in the US, but it was more than that. It was a political failure, Netanyahu being the prime minister, the obvious one. And I think what it shows is, as I talk about in the book extensively, that you can have all the repressive technology you want in the world. You can repress people, surveil them, monitor their homes, document them in any way possible. And Israel is tragically a global leader in this, which they then export to huge amounts of nations around the world, but ultimately it won't work. It can work in inverted commas for a certain amount of time, and you can convince other countries that it does work. But when something like October 7 happens, we see the complete failure. Having said that, and this is an important caveat to this, ultimately I think this will have no impact on Israel's arms industry. In fact, I think it's actually going to help. And let me briefly explain what I mean by that. The failure on October 7 was clear, but I think many countries will want to support Israel now moving forward. After the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Israeli arms sales have soared, massively soared. And I think what you'll find is that, like after 9/11, the US defense industry massively benefited from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Israel is already, as we speak, as I've been documenting in the last month, live testing new weapons in Gaza, showing it on social media how they're working. That's not just for a domestic and international public, but also other countries that might want to buy those weapons in months and years ahead.
So basically, it's a big commercial. Arms. It's a weapons commercial. See how we're killing the people over in Gaza? Do you want this technology? Bring your money.
And I wanted to ask you, in terms of this countries selling weapons to Israel, you talk about the difficulty in Australia in even finding out what the government is doing in terms of its exporting of arms to Israel.
The American arms industry is hardly one you would call moral, but at least at times there's a degree of transparency, although I do note that after the Biden administration has sent huge amounts of weapons to Ukraine, there was a degree of listing what weapons were being sold, whereas with Israel in the last month, there's been barely any acknowledgement of what America actually is selling to Israel, though we have certain suspicions. Australia is an interesting case.
Yeah, like one thing we know for sure they're over there using is white phosphorus, because we can see it. And if you're going to use white phosphorus, knowing that it's banned, right, in the international community, you're going to use it and we can see it, you don't give a rat's ass what we know or what we don't. You're going to do what the hell you want to do anyway, okay? Making you that murderer, right, that murderous liar that we discussed, okay? So let's type this into a search. Tracking. That's what I typed in. Tracking chips in Palestine. Okay, what comes up? Tracking the hostages, body hackers, RFID. Know where that is. Israel uses facial recognition, this is 6 months, to track Palestinians. 2 years. Israel employs massive facial recognition program. So this is the image of the beast here, right? The infrastructure for the CHIP, the infrastructure for total control, which is what the CHIP represents. Okay. Digital ID, facial recognition, RFID, right? Israel-Palestine news, autonomous subs, facial recognition tracking Palestinians. If that's the laboratory and they're testing, right? And they're using these tests, right, for and exporting this technology. Isn't that what they said? Where is it going and what will it be used for? Okay. It's crazy. Let's see. Anyway, let's get a couple of scriptures and we'll go ahead and close out. Let's go to Joel. Wasn't I at Joel? Let's see, Joel 3. Joel 3 and 9. Joel 3 and 11. No, 10. The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Plowshare is a gardening tool. A sword is Esau, and a killing instrument or a weapon of war, a sword. Pruning hook is a gardening tool. A spear is a weapon. Take your gardening tools, melt them down, and do what? Okay, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, melting them down and creating an instrument for his work. Okay, and we see this going on, right? We see the wars. We see everybody positioning themselves all throughout the Middle East. Okay, we see them gathering themselves round about. We see all of that. Okay, for the world war that's coming up. All right, now let's go to Revelation 13. Let's get it. Because these are hot topics, right, in these last days. It's Revelation 13 and 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. If you're not going to roll with this program that we're setting up right now, you won't be able to participate. Where's that? What did that say? Bill Gates. There's a meme and it says Bill Gates ID. Let's see if we can find that. If you don't, okay. If you don't get Bill Gates, I'll get in trouble for this. Digital ID. You can't something to that effect. Let's see what that brings up. I saw a meme that said that. And they ain't gonna, oh, come on, this is crazy. Digital ID for newborn babies in Kenya. Of course you did. Who posted that the other day? There's something like that out there. Anyway. We all know where this thing is going. Give me this. You know, these people are hiding things. Copy. Let's see. Strong's vocab. No, let's go here. So, Lockett, bear with me. We're about to wrap it up. About to wrap it up here. Let's see. Let's see what this brings up. False claim. See, they got putting this up, this false claim. Why would you put that up? If it's a false claim, then just let it go. No, you have to explain it away. False claim, UN said it would mandate digital ID. How old is this? A day ago? See, this is what's in the November 14th. Pay me to read this article. Fact check my ass. This is what they're pushing. Okay? A November 5th story from the People's Voice describes a supposed UN announcement involving Microsoft co-founder and philanthropist Bill Bates. UN says Bates Digital IDs will be mandatory to participate in society. Okay? So this is a thing, but guess what? You can't type this in to YouTube and get no traction. All right? I said the same thing, to participate in society, digital ID. It comes up over here, but they're hiding it on YouTube. Right? Snopes, right? Just go to Snopes, they'll tell you the real skinny. Anyway, let's go back. So that's the infrastructure. This is the surveillance and 5G that the CHIP works on. All right? Part of it. 16. And he causeth all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Right? The Karagman, or to have this in order to do what? Participate in society. So stop explaining the shit away. Where did it go? Where did it go? False claim. Okay? This, okay, digital IDs will be mandatory to participate in society. That is identical to this. And that no man might buy or sell save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. It's the same thing. The word beast is being used. The nigga will think, oh, it's an animal. An animal going to come up from the bottom of the ocean. Okay, it's a power structure. The beast, right? The great red dragon beast. It's talking about the Roman Empire, right? And now it's talking about the revived Roman Empire, right? Or NATO and the EU out there doing what the Roman Empire did, causing all to do whatever they want to cause. All right? So, I mean, let's go back to Amy. Where's Amy Goodman? All right, she's gone. So anyway, this is what they're doing. Okay? They got you in a petri dish in a laboratory, and they're exporting that draconian magic, right, to control you. Surveillance, facial recognition, C-hips, right? All of that. And they want you to see. They say, here's how we treat people. We will exterminate your whole nation if you don't do what we say. We're going to stack you up like rats on top of each other, right? And this is how we control you. You can't go, you can't buy, you can't do a damn thing unless we say you can. And that's what they're pushing, all right? But what do we know? Now the Egyptians are men and not the most, and not gods. All right? You're not God. You want to be like the Most High, but you ain't. Isaiah 31:3. Now the Egyptians are men. Who are the Egyptians? The Babylonians. Right? And not the Most High, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both shall fall down, and they shall fail together. You're not the Most High, nigga. And the Most High is about to stretch out his hand. So with that, we hope that the elector edified you brothers and few sisters. With that, we're going to say shalom.